Joining me via Skype from Abuja is the head of programs and partnerships, Action Aid Nigeria, Shuaiba Yakubu Jibrin. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, according to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, said rural women and girls across the world are a powerful force in global action to respond to climate change. That's according to the UN Secretary General. How can we amplify the voices of women in order to ensure that the business community, the government and policymakers respond to climate change?
Thank you very much for having me. And just like you said, the general has really, United Nations General has really put it right. The power of the rural woman in combating desertification or any response to climate change is very, very strong. But if you check the trend in the last 15 years of our engagement with the poor and excluded rural women, you find out that on their priority list is access to basic social amenities and infrastructure. One of the key aspects of their contribution and infrastructure. One of the key aspects of their contribution is based on their knowledge and access to alternatives. The level of knowledge and information about climate change is led to them based on their experience, what they feel, and that is the only option they have in executing their practices. The only access to, for instance, cooking energy is the charcoal, or especially firewood. When they produce charcoal, is for commercial purposes. So what is available to her at that particular area is what she used to earn a living, and her priority is to contribute to the sustenance of her family. So we have realized that access to knowledge and their capacity to connect with with each other, the use of technology will go a long way. But most of the people, poor women in Nigeria, do not have that access. So you realize that they still are living in the traditional way. What I have learned from my great-grandmother is what I'm putting into practice. What I am practicing is what my daughter is also going to experience in her life. Right. So we have to open up and then extend the social services to the rural areas, because it is one of the disadvantaged and then neglected component of governance in Nigeria. Okay. We conducted inequality research in 2015, and we repeated in 2017, expanding to. Yeah.
Now, beyond all of this you have said, and beyond today being International Day for Rural Women, how do we ensure that this message goes beyond today and the propagation of this gospel to these women, the education gets to them even beyond now? So by the time we're coming back to this situation to October 15th next year, we should be able to have some testimonies.
One area that is lacking is the utilization of existing government agencies that are mandated to propagate information and knowledge. We have the National Orientation Agency. I am not sure how much plan is in there, exists in that particular agency to include the information sharing on particular issues to rural women. The NGOs and CBOs are working, and then most of the time when you channel information through the community-based organizations of women, they are able to share information, and then from her to her daughter and then to the family. But then we need to do more. We need to start exploring the use of technology. All right. In one of the communities where we work, we have explored the use of ICT centers, all right, where women connect. And then these women are learning the basics of computer services, and then with opportunity and access to internet, they are able to connect and share knowledge beyond where we are. However, this access is still lacking.
Yes, yes. Yeah. We recognize that, but thank you very much. I'm afraid this is the much we can take at this point. Thank you so much for talking to us on this issue.
Well, joining me via Skype from Abuja is the head of programs and partnerships, Action Aid Nigeria, Shuaiba Yakubu Jibrin. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Well, ours is seen as a patriarchal society, and one wonders when it comes to rural women being empowered to, talk about issues or deal with issues of resilience in climate change. Is there much they can do, seeing the inequalities that abound?
Well, women will always see a woman, especially a rural woman, will always see her responsibility and role in support to the family. To her family. However, I'm not sure if that support she renders is really recognized and then supported by the male counterpart. Most times is seen as a responsibility, not as just as support. And this is all due to the gender roles and stereotyping as we grow, and then is that which are all socially constructed. The women most time are are sidelined. They are not involved in the decision-making processes, especially on issues that concern development, whether it concerns them or not. And that is the impression that a man can make a decision on behalf of the family, and the leaders who are men can make decision on behalf of the women and wives and everybody in the community. But if every opportunity that comes to the society, whether be it rural or urban, every member of the society, especially the women, are given the opportunity to partake and make their contribution in the area of decision making, it will go a long way in changing the status quo, because it's only a woman that feels what it takes to be a woman. She understands her needs better than a man. And then we are not saying take over. We are not saying rub shoulder. We are saying equal opportunities to achieve level of.
But you know the challenges that has come up whenever issues of equality comes up, and when you go to the rural areas, it's even more complex or complicating because of issues of tradition, culture, and perhaps religion. How do we deal with these bottlenecks to get the voices of women heard when it comes to she accepting that role or position or making her contribution valuable?
Every religion recognizes the role of complementarity, and then even when religion preaches the women to obey, to whatever, it does not say do not involve. It does not say. In fact, Islam, the religion that I know I practice, recognizes and promotes support for women and then recognition of their roles and responsibilities. And then even in Christianity, obey does not mean exclusion. We are supposed to make decisions together, because if you don't consult, if you don't recognize the contribution of the other party, then it is difficult to really run a healthy family. Most women are there living in a family way, living in their marriages, but they are complaining. And so if we only take time to go down and listen to what they are going through, and then give them the space and opportunity to partake in leadership, to partake in contributing to decision-making processes, it will help. Secondly, most of the structures that we are struggling with beyond the national level is the local governance and the community level, where the issues abound and we have a lot of failures in governance. There is no very strong governance system that trickles down and promotes government practices, programs in the rural areas. It's only the civil society organizations that are struggling. So for me, especially when it has to do with environment, the woman, is the one that is struggling in terms of cooking for the family, exploring all the opportunities that she has, and the only option she has to use and make sure that her family eats. They constitute the higher percentage of people who produce staple food in the country. The subsistence farming is much more patronized by the rural women than men. So when we are planning agriculture, when we are planning environmental programs, women are the best bet when it comes to inclusion. So if we don't involve them, we will not know the level of their needs and what will help them better.
So how critical is the role of education? Because some of them do not even understand that they play these major roles. How critical is the role of educating these women, empowering them via education to understand their roles and help with the issues of climate change?
Education in Nigeria generally is in the state of emergency. And if you, based on the research we have been carrying through appraisals, you realize that 80% of the real rural women are not educated. So the kind of education they need at this time is functional literacy. Literacy that helps them to understand what they need and what their lifestyle is, and how they will improve their own status based on their businesses, based on their improving their businesses and so on. And that can only happen when we have functional extension systems in governance, and where the local government is working, where the agricultural development program is also working. And then the CSOs and NGOs, I cannot stop talking about it. They are really working a lot, especially those who go into the...
We have to leave it at this point. Suwaiba Yakubu Jibrin, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Joining me via Skype from Abuja is the Head of Programs and Partnerships, Action Aid Nigeria, Suwaiba Yakubu Jibrin. Thank you very much for joining us here. In all of this that we've talked about, today is International Rural Women's Day. How do we push women forward? What can be done? Do we need legislation to ensure that women come forward and take active positions in ensuring that their space in the look of things is assured and they can contribute to development?
Thank you very much once again. I think you've said it. One of the major ways that government will help to bring women forward is the implementation of the affirmative action. Women ask for a certain percentage in governance. At least if we don't have the 30%, we should have, 35%, we should have up to 50% by now. But the challenge is that the numbers of women in both the legislation and the legislative and then the executive arm of government is reducing. The worst is happening at the state level, especially where the local governments are closer to, there, and then the governance that is very close to the women. So there you have the story is pathetic. There are many states where we don't have a single woman representation, female representation in the state assemblies. And so this needs to be taken into consideration, because making decisions for women cannot be done by men, and it's difficult to really move forward if we don't have that. Secondly is to encourage the women to take on, because women especially, they have been doing a lot of work. Workload has been one of the major challenges of women. The issue of productive, reproductive, and then community development roles is there, and then the issue of non-recognition of their responsibilities when it comes to unpaid care work, burden of work. So when we reduce that, we will recognize that there are some unpaid care work that women are doing, and those are redistributed. And then we have gender responsive public services within their reach. It will help to reduce their burden, and then they can go into the struggle of getting into participation in development sphere.
All right, so what plans does the UN have for the rural women the world over?
Well, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals 5, make adequate provision for to support the women. And then even when you look at the education, there are sufficient plans to support the growing young women when we're looking at gender disparity in development. But the country has a gender strategy which is not being implemented. And then we have a lot of other programs. Our challenge in Nigeria is the issue of implementation. It's not that we don't have the policies. The policies are there, the legislation is there, but then we are not implementing. And then when it comes to international sign-off, we sign and ratify without reservation. But when we come back home to domesticate, it becomes a problem. Beijing, when we go into CEDAW has been, declared at national level, but then when it comes to the state level, check the implementation. Ministry of Women Affairs is there, but it's not really serving the interest of women. We have a lot of other programs. So this, I think, implementation
All right.
Recognition of the women's roles and the implementation becomes one of the key process. And then women should endeavor to continue being resilient,
All right.
come together, connect, and then we can achieve the goal.
All right, Shuaiba Yakubu, thank you so much for talking to us on this particular day. Thank you.